The ballroom was glowing with crystal lights, polished marble floors reflecting wealth and power at every angle. This was not an ordinary event. It was a charity gala hosted by one of the most powerful CEOs in the city, a man whose name appeared regularly on magazine covers and business headlines. Politicians wanted his attention. Investors chased his approval. Celebrities smiled a little wider when they shook his hand. But tonight, despite all the glamour, there was an invisible silence surrounding one small corner of the room. Near the edge of the dance floor sat a teenage girl in a wheelchair. Her dress was beautiful, carefully chosen, soft blue fabric flowing gently over her legs. Her hair was styled perfectly, and her eyes sparkled under the lights. Yet people walked past her as if she didn't exist. Some glanced quickly and looked away. Others pretended to be distracted by their phones or conversations. This was the CEO's daughter. She had been paralyzed from the waist down after a tragic accident years ago. Since then, her world had quietly shrunk. Her father could buy anything money could offer: private doctors, elite therapists, advanced equipment, but there were things money could never purchase. Acceptance, inclusion, simple human warmth. Tonight was meant to be special. Her father hoped that bringing her to this elegant gala would make her feel included, normal, part of the world again. But instead, she sat watching others dance, laugh, and celebrate, while the music seemed to mock her from a distance. Her hands rested politely in her lap. Her smile was gentle but trained, the kind of smile you learn when you don't want others to see how much it hurts. Inside, though, every song felt like a reminder of everything she believed she had lost. Across the room, the CEO stood talking to a group of executives. He laughed when appropriate, nodded when expected, but his eyes kept drifting back to his daughter. Each time he saw her sitting alone, his chest tightened. He would trade every company, every award, every dollar he owned just to see her truly happy. Then there was another man in the room, someone who clearly didn't belong among the wealthy crowd. He was a single dad, invited only because his daughter's school choir had performed earlier in the evening as part of the charity program. He wore a simple suit, slightly worn at the edges. His shoes were clean but old. He held a small paper cup of water instead of champagne. He felt out of place, surrounded by people who spoke in numbers he would never understand. He planned to leave quietly as soon as the formalities ended. But as he turned to go, something caught his eye. The girl in the wheelchair. He noticed how people avoided her. He noticed how her eyes followed the dancers, lingering just a second too long. Most of all, he noticed the sadness she was trying so hard to hide. The music shifted to a slow, emotional song. Couples moved to the floor, hands clasped, bodies swaying gently. The girl's smile faltered for just a moment before she forced it back. That moment was enough. The single dad hesitated. He looked around the room, at the powerful men, the confident dancers, the people who had everything. None of them moved toward her. He took a breath. What he did next would change everything. He walked across the ballroom. Whispers began almost immediately. Who is he? Does he know who that is? What is he doing? Some faces showed confusion. Others showed discomfort. The CEO noticed the movement and stiffened. His first instinct was protective. He watched closely as the man approached his daughter. The single dad stopped in front of her wheelchair and smiled warmly. "Hi," he said gently. "Would you like to dance?" For a second, the room seemed to freeze. The girl blinked, surprised. She looked up at him, unsure if she had heard correctly. No one had asked her that in years. Not since the accident. Not since people started seeing the wheelchair before seeing her. I can't, she said softly, gesturing toward her legs. The man nodded, as if she had said something obvious and unimportant. That's okay, he replied. I didn't ask if you could stand. I asked if you'd like to dance. Her breath caught. She looked around, suddenly aware of all the eyes on them. Her heart pounded. She had spent years trying not to be noticed, trying not to be a burden, trying not to hope for moments like this. Slowly, she nodded. Yes, she whispered. The man carefully positioned himself behind her wheelchair. He gently placed his hands on the handles, moving them in rhythm with the music. He swayed side to side, guiding her smoothly across the floor. He leaned closer so she could hear him. Just feel the music, he said. That's all dancing really is. Something incredible happened. She began to smile. A real smile. Not the polite one she wore for strangers, but the kind that starts deep inside and spreads uncontrollably. Her shoulders relaxed. Her eyes closed as she let herself feel the rhythm, the movement, the freedom. The room fell silent. Conversations stopped. Glasses paused mid-air. One by one, people turned to watch. The CEO felt his throat tighten. His eyes filled with tears he didn't bother to hide. For the first time that night, his daughter wasn't sitting alone. She wasn't invisible. She was the center of the room. As the song continued, something even more powerful happened. Other guests began to move closer. A woman wiped her eyes. A man lowered his phone, forgetting to record and simply watching instead. The invisible barrier around the girl shattered. When the song ended, the applause started softly, unsure, and then exploded into a thunderous standing ovation. The girl laughed through tears. She had never felt anything like this before. She felt seen. She felt valued. She felt alive. The single dad leaned down and said, "Thank you for the dance." "No," she replied, her voice shaking. "Thank you." The CEO walked forward, his hands trembling. He extended his hand to the man. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, emotion breaking through his polished exterior. "You gave my daughter something I couldn't." The man shrugged slightly, embarrassed by the attention. "I'm just a dad," he said. "I'd hope someone would do the same for my child." The CEO looked at him differently now. Not as a guest, not as a stranger, but as an equal. That night didn't end with music and applause. It ended with conversations that mattered. With people kneeling to speak to the girl at eye level. With invitations extended, phone numbers exchanged, and genuine connections formed. The single dad didn't leave early after all. He stayed, talking with the CEO, sharing stories of parenthood, struggle, and love. Two men from completely different worlds, connected by one simple moment of humanity. For the girl, that dance became a turning point. She started attending more events. She advocated for accessibility and inclusion. She refused to let anyone overlook her again. Not because she wanted attention, but because she now knew she deserved to be seen. And for everyone who witnessed it, that night left a permanent mark. They learned that kindness doesn't require permission. That courage doesn't need a spotlight. That sometimes, the most powerful person in the room is the one willing to step forward when everyone else steps back. So remember this story the next time you see someone being ignored. Remember that one simple question, one small act, can change a life forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Because kindness is contagious, and the world needs more moments like these.